Greetings again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OSI Today, the podcast featuring news and views from around the Office of Special Investigations. I'm Wayne Amon from OSI Public Affairs. In the current OSI strategic plan, one of its 5 lines of effort providing a clear, attainable vector for the agency is to strengthen its partnerships. In this edition, we explore how OSI protects its innovation enterprise with partnerships. Joining me to discuss this important command initiative is the Special Agent in Charge at National Security Detachment 123 in Boston, Massachusetts, David Leslie. David, welcome to the show. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Wayne, for having me. I look forward to our conversation.
As I'm sure I am, because every time I talk to somebody within OSI, it's always like an education for me as well as our listeners. So let's get right to it, shall we? And let's kind of set the table for our listeners. If you wouldn't mind, by briefly explaining what Spartan Citadel, the OSI Counterintelligence and Technology Protection Initiative, is, and what is it designed to do?
Yeah, Spartan Citadel, like you basically described right there, it's our overarching technology protection plan and how we are trying to approach and provide counterintelligence support to the critical technologies within the Air Force as well as the greater DoD. And it kind of cuts across from, we're looking at it from soup to nuts now, and it's just a phenomenal initiative, and we're driving the right direction with it.
And when we were talking a little moment ago off mic, you were mentioning that it's a very satisfying course of action for you as a special agent that dives into this line of work.
Yeah, it's these national security detachments, I think, are one of the best things OSI has come up with in a long time, where we are leveraging and bringing together phenomenal analytical support with a diverse agent background, where we have people with phenomenal counterintelligence background. We have fraud experts, tech protect experts, cyber experts, all driving to do what we can to secure all of these critical technologies. And as we'll kind of discuss a little bit more, it's like with our little niche for the National Security Detachments, it's kind of nice to have this repository and like plethora of knowledge where we can information share and rapidly get after the issues that we're facing.
Right. Now, before we, dive feet first into the National Security Detachments, or NSDs, I'd like to reach back to Spartan Citadel very briefly. As far as you said, it provides overarching reach and focus for the entire program. So it must be not just the NSDs, but a lot of other areas as well, because it seems like Spartan Citadel, when you say it's the Technology Protection Initiative, it encompasses just so much with the way technology has evolved, at least in recent years.
You're absolutely right. It's not just the NSDs. We're not out there fighting this alone, and we're working with our partner folks within the command. So we have our procurement fraud folks. We have our base level counterintelligence units and detachments that are located worldwide, as well as our Office of Special Projects team. And we are all working together. It's actually a phenomenal effort, and it's been amazing, the collaboration that's occurred internal with OSI and the deconfliction that occurs, and the information sharing has just been phenomenal. So that way we can be very fluid and very effective as a command and work as we work with our partner agencies.
I see. Now, as far as the one final question on Spartan Citadel, as far as, that name, how long has that particular project name or title been used to be the way that all of this work is under that particular umbrella, if I made that clear enough for you? How long has it been? How long has it been around? Basically, is my question.
Yeah, it's really. I'm trying to think back, because prior to coming to the NSDs, I heard quite a bit about Spartan Citadel, and I think it's been going for about 2.5-3 years, roughly.
Uh-huh. So it's fairly recent then.
Yeah, and yes, it is, and it's definitely. But I think here in the last 2 years, it's really gained a lot of traction and a lot of notoriety through DoD and within the CI community within DoD.
Right, right. Okay, very good. Now, as I said, let's get into those National Security Detachments, or NSDs for short. As I mentioned in the introduction, OSI protects the innovation enterprise through its partnerships. How exactly do the NSDs figure into those partnerships? I say like kind of on a daily basis. From your perspective as a special agent in charge at an NSD.
Yeah, the partnerships are critical to us, our success. And so we reach out to and touch as many folks as we can. And so the big things, we have our traditional law enforcement and intelligence community partners we work with day in, day out, as well as all the folks within DoD, the various agencies that are addressing technology protection or have a vested interest in technology protection. And that all the way goes down to the various program offices that are managing a lot of this rapid acquisition. And we can chat about that a little bit more too later.
Right.
But it's one of those things that we have the traditional law enforcement, state, local, federal, intelligence community. I mean, it's been really good. And then for the NSD specifically, we've kind of expanded that out to a lot of the rapid acquisition mechanisms and means that exist throughout the Air Force and DoD, as well as increasing our collaboration with like small businesses and academia that are integral parts of all of it.
That's one. I'm glad you mentioned that because in your brochure that can be found, by the way, on the OSI webpage at osi.af.mil. I'd like to give a plug to our website if I can, where you can find that fine brochure. It does mention that as far as the National Security Innovation Base, academia and civilian companies or entities are all part of that massive effort. And I think it's important that our listeners understand that you do have such a far-reaching effect that it goes, just beyond, the military or your standard law enforcement agencies.
Yeah, that's correct. And it's been one of those things where I think that's not that OSI has never done it. I think it's much more deliberative now than it's ever been. And especially with the stand up of the NSDs and where we're located and how we're executing our mission, it's been a phenomenal effort.
Very well put. Now, you mentioned where they're located. I understand that there are 8 national security detachments nationwide. Now, my specific question is, where are they situated, and what is the advantage of them being located from coast to coast?
Yeah, we do. Like you said, we have 8. I'm kind of partial to the Boston detachment, go figure. But my sister detachments, they're Huntsville, Alabama, New York City, Dayton, Ohio, the National Capital Region in the Washington, D.C. area, Austin, Texas, Colorado Springs, and then Silicon Valley out in California. And it's one of those things initially when the NSDs were being created and we started hearing rumblings about it throughout the command and we're hearing the locations, it kind of scratched my head a little bit going, why these locations? And it doesn't take much to start scratching the surface, realizing that where we're situating these offices were very well thought out, because these are some of the 8 core hubs in the U.S. for innovation. And it's not just innovation supporting DoD, it's just innovation period. And it just allows us this very much flexibility within our area of responsibilities that each of our debts have. And the nice thing is with 8 of us doing this mission, there is a lot of crosstalk amongst our debts as we're approaching things and talking with companies and sharing what works, what's been good, what hasn't been as good, and where can we get better.
Right. So I would imagine, is it fair to say that there's a lot of cross-pollination as far as information-wise amongst all the NSDs around the country?
Oh, absolutely. That's the only way we can be successful. And we all have different niches within the innovation because each area has different aspects and different core technologies they need to look at, or different customers that we're supporting. But it's one of those things we are in constant communication with one another and sharing the successes and just trials and tribulations of building up something new. And it's been very fruitful. And with the challenges that are there, where there are challenges, there's opportunities, and we are doing what we can to take advantage and do great things.
Right. Now, if I can hone in on your particular NSD there, number 123 in Beantown, Boston, Massachusetts, you mentioned each NSD has their own specific technology, interest in that in their particular areas. What's a particular interest for you as the special agent in charge there in Boston with that NSD?
Yeah, some of the core things that we're looking at, and I'm just amazed by the technology and the innovation that's occurring in our area. And because my area is New England as well as upstate New York.
Uh-huh.
And with that is artificial intelligence is huge here. There's some just major players within our area. And then, of course, microelectronics is another major line of effort for our detachment, specifically just with companies that are doing the research and development in that area, as well as production. And with everything we're supporting, a lot of these critical programs and programs of record for the Air Force and DoD, I would say 99.99% of them have microelectronics or semiconductors as a core factor. And so that's a major line of effort we have. And then up in upstate New York, there's Rome Labs that has has another core area of 10,000 pound brains. And I think recently, hopefully I'm not too far off on getting this, but I think they're the Quantum Computing Center of Excellence for the Air Force.
Wow.
So that's another initiative that we're starting to develop and hone in on a little bit.
Right. Are you kind of in awe of the rapidity, if you will, of how fast technology changes? I mean, just in the cell phone industry, we seem like there's a new cell phone coming out every day, pretty much. And so, is that part of the challenge for you as a special agent within OSI? Focusing in on technology to keep pace with that, and to not just keep pace, but to try to stay ahead of the power curve.
It's a Herculean effort. It's one of those things that, like, this has been one of the more exhausting jobs I've had in OSI. Just not so much physically exhausting. It's just mentally the challenge of, like you were saying, trying to keep up and try to figure out, okay, where's this cutting edge? Where could it go? And it's one of those things that my team, I can't take full credit for. They've done a phenomenal job of outreach within even the certified smart guys, as I like to call it, smart folks, I should say.
Right.
Within the local area that work or are associated with DoD that are such subject matter experts, that it gives us a network of, if we have a question that's out there and that's something we don't understand or having a hard time grasping,
right,
we do have a network of folks we can reach out to going, can you help us explain what does this mean? And is like, what am I looking at here? And that has really been a force multiplier for us as well. And then just the analytical team that I have in my office, I wouldn't trade them in for the world.
It sounds like a total team effort, and then it must give you a lot of satisfaction when it runs as smoothly as it's been running for you.
Oh, absolutely. It's like I said, it's one of the more challenging jobs I've ever had, but it's a lot of fun, and it's much different than anything I've ever done in the command. And it's not often that you get to stand up something new and really help drive and support and get to see some very tangible results.
Right. Now, it's no surprise that, as I mentioned earlier, that technology is emerging and evolving pretty much every day in so many different fields. And I think you may have alluded to this before. Who are some of the technology-centric partners that OSI National Security Detachments support? In other words, who are your target audiences when NSDs engage those partners? I think it bears repeating if you had mentioned that before, because it is such a wide-ranging group of engagements that you folks conduct.
Oh, it's huge. It's incredibly wide, but that's part of the fun. It's a choose your own adventure in a lot of ways, going back to the old books from way back when I was a kid. But we work in multiple different avenues. There's the innovation enterprise that's out there, and this kind of includes the Defense Innovation Unit, AF Ventures, AFWorks, SpaceWorks, and a lot of the other, like AFRL, the Air Force Laboratory,
right,
Research Laboratory, where they do these rapid acquisition contracts. And so we do a lot of support with them just to make sure the contracts that are coming in are thoroughly vetted, and the companies that are Air Force and DoD wants to partner with there's some level of vetting,
right.
and just examination, and just make sure that we can help protect these companies from the early on. And that's the other phase that we like to do, is go to this innovation base where, like you were saying, there's new cell phones every day, and the level and rapidness of the technological evolution is phenomenal. But what we've seen in going back just a little historically, it's like in the 80s, the vast majority of innovation was driven by DoD. Well, a lot of that has shifted over to the private sector as of late. And what we're trying to do, and what these programs are trying to do, is bring that innovation and all these brilliant people, their brilliant ideas, back into helping the DoD get smarter and do our mission far more effectively and better plan for the future. But part of that is like bringing in commercial companies that haven't had the exposure, and these new companies that haven't worked with the Defense Department or the Air Force, is it gives us an opportunity to be that face out. And it's one of the few times that we can genuinely go out and say, hey, we're from the government. We are really here to help. And we get to mean it. But that's where our partners within the federal law enforcement, Department of Commerce, the Homeland Security Global Proliferation Teams, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that's where we're working with them, where we can provide a unified front of support to these companies and just help them make them smarter, better, more secure, so they can protect their intellectual property and their phenomenal ideas.
Yeah, well, it certainly sounds like a win-win situation on both sides of the street there. Now, given the wide-ranging abilities or skill sets that OSI folks possess, and I think you may have alluded to this earlier again, but again, I think it bears repeating. What are the types of specific support OSI can provide innovation companies via its NSDs? You mentioned when you do your outreach, when you say, okay, we can offer you X, Y, and Z. What are those X, Y, and Zs that you can offer those particular companies?
Yeah, we have a pretty broad range of services we can actually provide and go out. And just one thing I didn't want to miss the standpoint is in addition to these companies, a lot of the companies will partner with academia. So we're extending into academia as well. And some of these research universities that are out here, they have phenomenal ideas and do a lot of outreach and support to DoD and these companies. So we get to do academic outreach and offer the same services to academia, which is kind of groundbreaking for OSI, as best I can tell.
Yeah. I would imagine, David, excuse me for interrupting, but I would imagine with, say, the NSD in Colorado Springs, Colorado, where the Air Force Academy is, I would imagine that there's some interfacing that goes on between that detachment and the Academy, being Air Force.
I would think so. And we have one of our traditional debts right there at the Air Force Academy that I know they're providing that both criminal law enforcement and counterintelligence support to the Air Force Academy and those researchers. But the nice thing is we can push out even further to the Harvards, MITs, like for Syracuse universities, Georgia Tech. I mean, Virginia Tech's. I got to promote Virginia Tech. I can't help myself.
The alma mater?
Yes, it is.
Okay, very good. Moving along now and kind of putting a bottom line to our discussion, David, what is the end goal of the Spartan Citadel initiative and its NSDs as you see it going down the road?
Yeah, kind of at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get these brilliant ideas, and whether they're on paper or not, is just help make these young startups and these researchers who are coming up with these brilliant ideas a little bit smarter on how to protect their good ideas and secure it. So as it matures and the applications develop, So once it becomes a program of record or gets involved with a program of record where we really, the aha moment from years ago, we're like, that's now what we need to protect. The ultimate goal is that we can protect this as early as possible. So, and just make people a little bit smarter, more savvy. And you were circle back around something you had mentioned is like services we can provide. And that's where we can provide some cyber awareness training as far as like some best practices. And so we interface with cyber experts within OSI, both internal and external to OSI, to be able to help secure and provide best practices. So that way they're just taking the appropriate measures from the cybersecurity aspect, but then we can also help folks with, as they're attending conferences, as they're promoting their product, if they get elicited for strange information or something strange happens, they have an outlet to go, does this seem normal? And we can help and take a look at it and help figure out, try to see what's going on and potentially see if it is an issue. And that comes from foreign travel briefs, debriefs, conferences. It's insider threat briefs, because those will always exist in both government and in industry, where people just need to protect their really good ideas and their intellectual property.
Very well put. Now, before we wrap it up, David, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Like I said, this has probably been one of the more, it's been a lot of fun for this job, and I'm really enjoying it. The team that I have and as I interact with the other special agents in charge at the other detachments, we have a great relationship, and just seeing how we're all approaching it, it's been very, very, it's been a lot of fun to do. It's frustrating sometimes building something from the ground up, but at the same time, we're all able to mold our detachments into what we need to be and what our command and Air Force needs from us. So I feel pretty honored to be able to do it.
Our guest has been David Leslie, the special agent in charge at OSI National Security Detachment 123 in Boston, Massachusetts. David, thanks so much for taking the time to be with us. It was great to have you join us today.
Wayne, I appreciate the invite, and I'm always glad to chat about the NSDs and OSI and what we can do.
And thanks to all of you listening for tuning in. For OSI Today, I'm Wayne Amon saying so long for now.